Yes, good morning once again, and you are welcome to your program of choice this morning on ITV and our program on nation building, nationalism and you, where we will be taking a look at 2023 elections, engaging the issues. With me in the house to take a look at this, to my far right, is Dr. Okoro Afo James, Provost, Humber. You are welcome to our studio. What does nationalism and you means to you?
It is my privilege to be part of the system that will build a good nation.
Great. You are most welcome.
Thank you.
And to my immediate right is quintessential barrister Minasara Kogo Uma. You are welcome to our studio. Nationalism and you.
Yes. Nationalism is a process of building the nation over and above any parochial consideration.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Barrister Menasara is international analyst on the law of the Constitution and democracy. He is a good governance advocate. Let me start from you, Barrister Menasara.
Yes,
We are racing towards another election year. And it appears that the political practitioners, let me call them like that, the political practitioners, both contestants and the voters, they are engaging themselves in trivial issues that seems to be a deliberate, Nigerian considered it a deliberate attempt to shift the Nigerian focus from developmental issues that should be engaged. So your take on this?
Well, for any phenomenon to succeed, you need the combination of the letters and the practice. And for letters and the practice to move towards developmental purpose, there must be the spirit, the moving spirit. What I'm saying philosophically here is that we have assembly of excellent rules and regulations. If you look at the Constitution, for example, sections 221 to 228, if you look at the various provisions of the Electoral Act, you understand. If you check section 153 regarding to the schedules under INEC, we have the assembly of the finest rules and regulations. The instrumentality of us to reach the El Dorado of nation building in democratic balance is all there. But the spirit, the absence of the spirit, you have the laws, you have the personnel to do it, but the spirit is not there. In a situation whereby greater number of the practitioners are ignorant of those letters of laws, regulations, structural settings embedded in our constitution and the various laws. In a situation whereby a greater number of the political power players prefer consideration of self over and above the interests and aspirations of the nation, over and above what is the expectation of an average citizen. Deliberately denying the existence of section 14 subsection 1, which says, of the Constitution, which says sovereignty belongs to the people. So whatever you are doing, you should gauge it on the dictum of the aspirations and the expectations of the people. Here we have various political parties. Over 100 political parties, but thank God to INEC, it has scaled them down to only 18. Now, out of these 18, there is virtually no difference regarding Party A or Party B. When you are talking regarding the aspects of constitutional differences, when you are talking in respect of manifestos, ideologies, robust programs, and assembly of what you should do for the common man, greater number of them are more interested in three things. One, how do I scheme to win election? Two, how do I perpetuate myself on seat so that up to the end of my tenure, there should not be any accident that will get me out of office? Then how do I succeed in implanting my surrogate to be the one to succeed me so that he will be able to cover up all my misdeeds after my tenure? So politics in Nigeria is seen as a game of investments rather than a game of nation building, rather than a game of national service. If we are taking it from the angle of national service, from the angle of development of a system, that is when politics will translate into a game of finest people that will be matriculated into the governance, so that ultimately they will emerge as statesmen. But in Nigeria, it is not the issue of trying to become a statesman. No, it is the issue of what do you make out of it. And that is the reason why they evolve a culture whereby money is the spirit under which you will be able to make it. If you have money, fine. If you don't have money, where will you even get 100 million if you are thinking of it? Yes, from the angle of service, yes.
Now, Dr. Okura for James, have we been appropriately engaging the necessary issues that are supposed to be engaged as a nation and as a people, or let's go.
Okay, the idea of is nationhood, or an idea of a people building a nation, are captured in the spirit of the Constitution, which my brother rightly put. But the spirit, when we start looking at the spirit of a constitution, we will ask ourselves, who prepared the document, the Constitution of the 1999 Constitution? Is it the people? And that's a question we will ask in another time, so that people will understand that you don't just bring a document, rules, and foist on people, and still mention in the document the people of who did the document. So this while we are in search of the spirit of the constitutions and the rules that runs Nigeria, we're still in doubt who did this constitution. Was it the people? Were the people engaged? Was there a time where the people, stakeholders who own Nigeria, sat somewhere and said, this is the rules we want to govern us. This is how we want to distribute the resources and the estates of the country. See, these are the questions that need to be answered. Back to what you just asked. I don't think that we are receiving the right discourse or narrative or discourse for the present election, because every other aspirant is busy asking and saying how legitimate or how right they are supposed to contest this election, or how their life ambition, or how do I put it? I've heard so much that people say, and I think that Nigeria is in a very precarious time, and all the people vying for office should be giving us solutions, should be giving us how to bring us out from the quagmire where we are even finding it difficult to service our debts. We're finding it difficult to generate enough revenue to be able to run the state. And all I hear is just stories and how people just want to test popularity. And to allude to what my fellow discussant was saying, everybody's talking about his popularity. Everybody's talking about how popular he is in the north, how popular is he in the east. And he's talking about his tribal jingoists, how some of them are becoming ethnic bigots, telling their affiliation to particular nation, a particular region, and how strong they are. So it's more of a popularity contest. For me, I see it as a political beauty pageant rather than political discourse. Because in the other climb, you see people discussing what they have for defense, what they have for security, what they have for the economy. In fact, by now they should be mentioning assembling teams who work on the critical emergency, which are security and the economy of the state. But the idea, what they do now is more of popularity contest. Who is right? Who owns more popular votes? Who will not be able to probably use the social media better than the other? And I think the discourse is not right.
Now, let me come back to you again before I come back to Barrister Minasara. One of the issues that have been dominating this political brouhaha is the issues of Muslim ticket, Muslim Christian ticket, Muslim ticket. What is your take on this?
Now, you see,
is it not diversionary?
You see, the idea, that's why I said that the idea to capture power in other climb is to better, is for service, is to do good to the people. But in this climb, it's all about strategy to capture power. And in capturing power, we know that there are territorial powers. So if in every given space, there's somebody who controls both primitive or both native. So you see, what they are doing is just to look at where they have more votes, where they have more sympathy, where they have popularity, and just capture power. And the idea of capturing power is not even to capture power to give service, like places in China or places in America or other part of the world. the idea is just to capture power and just keep it, and the friends of the government distribute the government resources, and they don't care about the masses. Because what is happening is just what is going to continue to happen until we begin to redress our. So that answering the question of Muslim ticket, I don't have any problem if the two candidates are very quite the best that can give the country what they need. That's not an issue in politics. But as Nigeria, knowing that we have fault lines, and very, very, very legal fault line, where from the time we got our independence in 1960, there has been mutual suspicion of dominance. Because we, according to Abofemi Awolowo, we say we are not yet a nation. We are ethnic groups that are just patched together by British creation. And we have been working towards national, that's being a nation. And that's why we have NYC, we have quota system, we have brought policies like my brother brightly said.
That is why ITV brought you nationalism.
Yes, yeah, to integrate everybody so that we can be a nation, united front. But I have seen that based on that, politics has been, even our constitution that I've seen questioning, she said that there's no how one particular region should form a government, because we moved from a Westminster government to a presidential system, and that presidential system implies that majority carries the vote. But in our own, there was a difference. You must have a cognate percentage in cut across to be a winner. And at the end of the day, when you want to form a government, you must put every part of the region to form that government. So now there is a government that is around, and people have accused the same government of being ethnic or being very partial. Now, another government is coming without understanding these peculiarities and sensitive nature, is playing the card of a Muslim ticket. I think it is an affront to those people who have always said this is the agenda. And I think that no matter what, it's like if my children accuse you or your wife accuses you of coming back home very late, even if you are not doing anything bad, you just try, if you want a good relationship, you try to cut down anything that will make you come back late and come back early just for the sake of peace. So I think the Muslim ticket is very insensitive, and it is not right in terms of what we want to run away, because we want to unite Nigeria, we want a common front. We would have just, what does it take to just pick maybe a northern Christian who would just run along with this Muslim Southwest candidates?
Now, let me come to Barrister Nasara, and I'm going to frame the question this way. If you pick Christian ticket, and another pick Muslim ticket, and another pick Muslim Christian ticket, is it supposed to be the dominant discourse over the nation and over political aspirations, when you know, to the extent that even political parties that picked Muslim tickets, they are making the issue of Muslim ticket a topical issue of discourse? Why don't you use your Muslim Christian ticket to silently proceed to go and defeat them, instead of making it an issue of national discourse? Is that not on itself a mischief, trying to divert Nigerians from the concrete issue of developmental damage?
When there is poverty of ideas, when you have poverty of ideas, people will capitalize on any sentimental thing as an instrument to get what they want. INEC is the one that is supposed to sanitize the whole system under Section 65 of the Electoral Act. Because when you take Section 114 to 129 of the Electoral Act, talking about Sections 57 to 58, INEC has the responsibility to sanitize the power play. In the first place, when you take Section 174, when you take Section 74, for example, of the Electoral Act, it says that electioneering campaign should only begin 150 days to election. But here we are, they are already campaigning. And then Section 97 of the Electoral Act prohibits any campaign on the basis of ethnic or religious configuration. And by the time you now go into this, it is in clear violation of Sections 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, Sections 20, 21, 23, and 24 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because these provisions really prohibit doing anything on the basis of tribal, religious, or any other petty primordial consideration. Now, the reason why politicians are capitalizing on this simply is because, number one, politics is being used as an instrument. All this is at the top level of the presidential level. In the whole of the southern part of the country, there is no Muslim governor. In the whole of it. And there is no respect to Section 14, subsection 3 that talks about federal character at the level of the states, at the level of the local governments, even at the federal level. There are flagrant violations of this simply because, let me ask you a simple question. Anybody that believes that he wants Muslim Christian, why can't he go and vote for Konkosu? Or why can't he go and vote for Atiku? He has Muslim Christian ticket. Or anybody that believes, yes, why was it when Nuhu Rubadu was the presidential candidate under ACN? Fola Adiola was the vice president. They are all Muslims. Why did nobody raise any issue? Simply is because of one thing. Consideration of this forceful kind of thing that has been embedded that Tinubu is sick. There is the probability probably he will die before the decision. So the fear of repeat of Umaru Musa and Umaru Yaradua and the good Lord. That is the hidden something that people are using all these shenanigans. And then they believe that incumbency factor of the government on power can determine who will be the successor, who will be the decision, which all these are contrary and repugnant violations of the real democratic tenets of which the Constitution stipulates and the Electoral Act stipulates. So all these are diversionary things. All those things you are doing, how sure are you? In the first place, the same ruling party, APC, for example, announced that Ahmed Lawal was the preferred candidate. That angered Tinubu. He made the Abeokuta outburst. He made even the outburst during his acceptance speech of the party. So how cohesive is the APC as a ruling party to even ride on the DC? So the issue now is that in what respect to give credence to those that are against the Muslim tickets, for example, the situation of Nigeria, the temperament of sentimentalism. You understand? In 1993, for example, Abiola Kingibe is not the same thing with today's happiness. Let us be realistic. The population comparative something is virtually at par. You understand? It's virtually at par. And then the most important thing that brought us into all this quagmire is this illegality called zoning. There is nowhere in any law in Nigeria or in the constitution that you have these 6 geopolitical zones. There is nowhere. There is nowhere. It is only PDP in its own constitution, under Section 7 of the constitution, that has made provisions for rotation of power. Even in APC, there is nothing like that. All these things that are being done is because of poverty of ideas. People are so ignorant that they do not have ideas to be able to sell themselves and canvass the tumultuous support and aspirations, support, followership of the citizenry as the election is coming. That is the reason why they are using money. That is the reason why they are using tribal. That Tinubu, for example, all the fear they are having. Somebody that couldn't Islamize his wife, for example, how will he Islamize Nigeria? How will he Islamize Nigeria? Somebody who, when you look at it generally, it is practically impossible for this dominance. And then the fantastic of the chiefs among the political class, you will discover that when they are sharing the money, they have no consideration whether you are a Christian or a Muslim. When they close the doors, sharing the money, the looted money. You understand? So let us be realistic. You cannot be a successful politician from the south if you don't have an ally in the north. You can not be a successful politician in the north if you don't have an ally in the south, because the provision of the constitution is that even if you have 99% of the total votes cast, you must be able to have 25% in 2/3 of the states of the country. So you must get the support of everybody, and politics is a game of give and take. It's a game of convincing, cajoling, promising, signing accords, signing agreements, and doing other things that will be the DC. So all these things are diversionaries.
Now,
they are repugnant
to them. Let me come back to Mr. James Okorafo. Osun State is sizably, Osun State is what do you call it? Have a sizable numbers of Muslims, sizable numbers of Muslims, but a Christian. I think the ratio of Muslim to Christians in Osun State is almost about 40 to 60%.
Yeah.
Yes, that I know very well. Now, Christian ticket had just won an election there. What is that implication for the brouhaha that is going on over presidential Muslim ticket, knowing that in 1993 we did it and there was a voluminous vote even in Kano for the Muslim, I mean, and in the south, in the entire south, Muslim teachings, yes.
Yeah, you see, you need to understand that events is cause and effect. Now, what happened in Osun State, I see it more from a economic point. I think the Aregboshola's administration, I think, ventured into a lot of capital development, and he had to borrow a lot of money through National Assembly and trying to change the infrastructure ambience of Osun State. And I think he tried so much to do that. In fact, that was, I remember then, his federal allocation was very, very minimal, that he was finding it difficult to pay salary. And he did that before he handed over to Ayatollah. Now, that is also the problem anybody coming in this administration was also face. So they took over that administration. Ayatollah took over that administration, paying huge debt, trying to pay off the infrastructural debt he collected. So he was not able to do the things like paying or salary in time and quite a number of other things. They couldn't do much, and every other person saw it as a failure.
Stomach infrastructure.
Yes, yes. So it created room for people to stop thinking of any other thing, but just to replace the government. So if you look at that, you will understand that there's a cost for such. Now, when you come to the federal state, we have a government where, if you look at from number 1, number 2, even to the number 20 person, are all, if they are not Northerners, they are Muslims. If you look at it, it is the way it is. And it is something, you see, people's sensibility are very, you see, sometimes people prefer fiction than reality, especially what you see. Sometimes is not actually what it is. Probably it was not done intentionally by the APC government. But if you look at it from the beginning to the last, apart from Onyema, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who attends security meeting, there's no other Southerner there. Look at it very well. And Lucky Rabo, there's no other person. So everybody just feel that this is a sensitive issue for some people. And now you are now bequeathing a new government. You say you want to, the 19 governors say, let's take government back to the south. And at the end of the day, there's a Muslim who has won from the south. Is it not well? Is it not okay for us to get also Christian, probably Christian minorities from the north, who also, we want to aspire to also be in the hem of affair of Nigeria one day? There are quite a number of them who have held government. We have Baba Chirwa, we have the former speaker, we have quite a number of them, even the governor of Plateau State. And we were waiting for, okay, since the power have come back to the south, let's get a northern Christian to pay them so that it will look that APC has no any agenda. And I know most people canvass for it, Christian community canvass for it, the northern Christian community canvass for it. But when the announcement was made that is going to be former governor of Borno State, Shetima, I think it was like an affront to some certain set of people. And it also continued to sell that particular idea that it is an agenda, and which I believe that it's not, personally. But the idea is that sometimes in politics, like they said in America, a black man cannot be a president. And it came to a point where they saw that it's possible for Obama to be. They brought the present president of America and Joe Biden to make him his vice, so that make him strong. And he was given the presidency for 8 years. And now that bias or that mindset has been cleared. So you see, most black Americans are beginning to aspire. They want to be like Obama.
Now, let us go this way. Many Nigerians do not share some of the, particularly the learned ones that have mixed very well and are very exposed. They do not share some of these sentiments. Many Nigerians consider some of these sentiments as triviality and diversionary from the main issue. Saying that, we have had a Christian president for 8 years running, and with a vice president from the north. Yeah. Has that transpired or into the fixing of the refineries? Has that brought about the power sector functioning? Okay. Does that translate into the university system, the educational system running uninhibited? Okay. Has that been able to fix the entire roads in Nigeria and rails and the rest of it? Has developmental issues, critical infrastructure that are germane to sustainability of economy and economic prosperity be put in place because they were Christian-Muslim tickets? Then we are currently running another 8 years of Muslim-Christian tickets. Have that restored the refineries? Is Ajakuta working now? Are the road totally fixed? The rail that we borrow money to build, can we run them because bandits stop us from running them and that kind of a thing? Nigerians are saying these are the issues we should be discussing instead of discussing Muslim ticket. Mainasara, please.
Yes, you have summarized it all. That is what I call the shenanigans of the political actor place. Because when you look at it, paradoxically speaking, people will be campaigning on the altar of competence, blah, 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 blah. When President Buhari, decided to select Professor Yemi Osinbajo, everybody was hailing him, everybody was saying, hallelujah, we have come to the doorstep of the El Dorado. Here is President Buhari, somebody who is a trademark of anti-corruption, somebody who is a trademark of patriotism, discipline, nationalism, somebody who is a trademark of nation building, and whatever this is. A former president, a former chairman of Petroleum Trust Fund, a former GOC, former garrison commander, former governor, former minister of petroleum resources, former this and this and this. Whatever avalanche of experience you are experiencing, you are expecting, this one has grade A in that. Yeah. Then talking about the vice president, somebody that is number one, the fundamental one, is a man of God. Somebody who is at the apex of the religious calling, somebody who is at the highest of his professional calling, a senior advocate of Nigeria, somebody who is at the highest of the academic something. Professor. If you are talking Buhari, whether he has been to secondary school or not, this is a professor that is pairing with him. He will be able to balance whatever inadequacies you have regarding the academic quest you are talking about. Somebody who has many, I bet at the end of it, they have got it. The vehicle that brought them into power, all through the surgeon of the electioneering campaign, all through the everything, promises, blah, 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 blah. They were sold on a tray like akara around the nooks and corners of Nigeria. We will do you this, we will do you this, we will fight corruption, we will fix infrastructure, we will make education, blah, blah. Everything. At the end of it, they were brought before Eagle Square and sworn in. That very day they were swearing in President Buhari, I was making some analysis on a national television. I broke into tears. I started crying. That was what ended the program. They said, why are you crying? I said, look, I am crying because this man do not know the meaning of the letters he was pronouncing. I, Muhammadu Buhari, do solemnly swear the meaning of the word solemn and the meaning of the word swear that I will be faithful. The word faithfulness can write a PhD thesis. Definitely. And bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Which means all the 270 million Nigerians, he will be faithful to them, he will bear true allegiance, including all the animals, all the rocks, all the vegetations, all the rivers, all the distance. Yes, they have stake in it. That I will be faithful and bear true allegiance, that I will never allow my personal interest to conflict with my official responsibilities. That I will not in any way, that I will do good to all manners of people. That I will do this, all those things that were being and at the end of it, people were congratulating him. How can you congratulate me for giving me a dirty job? Congratulations, you have your Holy Quran and the Constitution. You are swearing by them. And at the end of it, he said, what? He said that he is not for anybody, he is not for nobody. Look at it. Yet, those people that scheme and do everything and brought him out to the level of the Eagle Square from the administration of oath, it turned out that they don't even have access to even the villa. Some other people there that have one affinity or the other over him became the ones that are holding the remote over the television said that is called our president and vice president. You understand? So long that section 15 subsection 1, the motto, the faithfulness, unity and faith, you should believe in the unity of Nigeria. Every Nigerian in the dictum of section 14.3 should be able to have dividends of democracy on equal balance. Yeah. You should treat somebody who is from Efik, somebody who is an Edoma, somebody who is a Nupe man, somebody who is a Kanuri man, somebody who is a Yoruba man. You should treat all manners of people equal. You have sworn by the Constitution that you will defend, protect, and project the interests and aspirations of Nigeria. And at the end of it, when that one finished, here we are. The Constitution clearly talks about the separation of responsibilities. The Vice President is the head of the economic team.
What is it,
But some other people there, invisible, are the ones controlling the economy of the country. Here we are on the issue of Section 130 of the Constitution that says the President is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and is the Chief Executive Officer of the Federation of Nigeria. And knowing the enormity of the responsibilities on him, the Constitution now says we are giving you leverage under Section 147, 150, 174, 153, 212, 213, 214, 215, 226, 217, 218. Under all these sections, we are giving you the leverage. You should appoint your lieutenants. Lieutenants to take care of all the sectors. Security sectors, economic sectors, judicial sectors, political sectors, all the sectors you are to appoint lieutenants. These lieutenants are answerable to you. If any of them fails, they are not the ones that have failed because they have not been sworn in with the Constitution and the Holy Quran or the Holy Bible. You are the one that has got that says, vote for me. Vote the form, swore it on us. Vote for me. And we have voted for you and got you sworn in. And then these people now end up not performing optimally to our expectation. You refuse to penalize anybody, you refuse to deal with anybody, you refuse to change anybody, then the onus of the blame is on you. Because fundamentally speaking, all these responsibilities, all these things that we are talking about, there is one office that is very, very sensitive, which the government is neglecting. In 1985, His Excellency President Babangida changed the name of the office. Secretary to the federal government. It was changed to Secretary to the government of the Federation. The difference is very important for Nigerians to understand. Secretary to the federal government means you are the cabinet secretariat, you are the secretary to the federal government. But Secretary to the government of the Federation means whatever policy the federal government will bring, there must be symbiotic relationship, symbiotic input. There must be policies, harmonization by the federal, by the state, by the local government. The word federation means the component people of the whole of the country.
Component of states.
Everybody should be there. When you are bringing a policy, for example, whether it's budget, whether it's policy, something on education, all the governors should send their representatives or they should come so that they give input, so that at the end of it, it will have universal access. That was the reason why when they now increase this minimum wage, the governors refused because they were not taken into court. They are veritable. Every policy should cascade so that you will have uniformity in policy evolution, uniformity in policy implementation, uniformity in the vision and mission on where Nigeria is today and where we project Nigeria to be in the next 4, 5, 10, 20, 50 years. That is how at the end of it we will be able to now see the realism of Nigeria as a so-called giant of Africa and the largest of the black world. Yeah. We have all the potentialities. Number one, we have 148 solid minerals buried in the land. We have all the resources you can think of in the world because they are all buried in between the desert and the sea, and we have such climatic environment. Agriculturally speaking, there is no crop that you will plant anywhere that cannot. By population, we are soon coming to be the 6th most populous country in the whole world. And the only thing, the only missing link we have is leadership. That is the only missing link. Because if you have the leadership, if we have everything, and God decided deliberately to make us cosmopolitan in this way, so that we will be a model of the world. God decided to make us different people, different, to show his willingness. If we are able to do that, God did not discuss with me who should be the mother.
Let me go to Dr. Okoro.
Yes, sir.
It was late, what do we call it?
Yusuf Metamasuli.
Yusuf Metamasuli that said it, that the reason Nigeria was constructed for us by God is to show us as an example of diverse people living in unity, and that we have a lesson to teach the world. From where he took it from, we have gotten Christian president, Muslim vice president, Muslim president, Christian vice president. Going into 2023, are those issues supposed to be the issue that should be germane in our discourse, in our national discourse, rather than the issue, the developmental issue at hand today?
Now, the question you asked him,
Yes.
it's a prelude to what you were asking now. I think unity is very important than infrastructure, than any other thing. Because until a people see themselves as one, there are going to be a fight of trying to convince these people that what we have is okay, or what we want to do is okay. And I think the military intervention in Nigerian politics distorted a lot of things. And if they have not, I think by now we might have achieved this nationhood. Because at the end of the day, after so many years, after how many years of the defunct Biafra, and people still have agitations here and there, then it means that there are some issues which in the creation, during the time in 1952, after the Magnificent Constitution, they wanted to hand over. I say, there are minority issues. How are they going to solve it? There are some issues that we didn't solve. We were so in a haste to take the independence. And even when the North was even saying, okay, give us some time to prepare, which should have happened in 1954, we had to extend to 1960. I think we didn't solve those issues. And I think the military intervention did not allow us to solve those issues. Now, even the Westminster government that we inherited was even good for us, because it gave people of different nationality to try to ascribe and compete healthily. The North was competing when we had the university in Nsukka, they had their university, and the Ibadan had their university. When we had television in the, everybody, there was healthy competition that was pushing the country, that even as a then, somebody from Sokoto State was the premier of Enugu State, of Enugu region, in the Enugu province. And, so there were so many benefits when people were thinking that, okay, we are one and we're working. But these people from our region, they are okay like our sisters, but we are competing for good. Now we are now in a presidential system, which we took immediately, because we didn't sit together to criticize some of the nitty-gritties of the constitution. They were bequeathing, so we were in a haste for the military men to go so that we take over and move to civilian rule. Now the idea now is that the constitution itself, I also go back there, has kept some people having so much to do than other people, and has given some other people so much right than other people. Now it is a sensitive issue whenever a leader comes in, because the president Abbas just said it, that Nigerian president has so much power that if he decide half of what the constitution gives him, he will be a despot, and he was trying to leverage it. Now the issue is that the president of a Nigerian president has so much power that he can do a lot, and in this given circumstance, if you are looking for somebody who will become the president and the vice president, must be somebody that the people feel. Because when the people do not feel that these people have our interests at heart, because just look at it, it's after the check at the agitation that broke out in the southeast. It was after when the president made the mention of 5% and some other percent that voted for him, that the people in the Niger Delta started blowing up the oil lines, because of that statement. And quite a number of other things started happening. Because, see, the unity of Nigeria is more important than any other thing. That's what I'm trying to push. Because if Nigerians feel that this person in power, because I'm a student of philosophy, and I tell you that for you to be a good leader, you must have relationship with the people you lead. if people do not feel that you have their interest, there'll be insurrection, there will be rebellion. So people, even the way we ascribe to God and saying that he's supreme, is because we feel he loves us. And that's why we do that. And if you have a leader who do not connect, who is like disconnected from your interest, who feels that from the religion you come from.
I am going to start from you again.
Yeah.
I'm going to start from you again. Let me cut you from there. At the start of your comment, you have blamed the interventions of the military.
Yes.
And the rest of it. Many Nigerians are saying that our political actors, our politicians, have not behaved and comport themselves in such a way that can make the military, that can justify the claim of blaming the military. For example, the 4 refineries that are run aground were built by the military.
Okay.
And at a specified time.
Okay.
Now, democracy for more than 22 years cannot even repair them and fix them.
But
And
yes,
they
right,
cannot
chunk
do the
of money.
additional one. No, I'm coming to you to see that we handle it and the rest of it. Now, the federal capital territory you are here is a gift from the military.
Okay.
The 36 states plus Abuja that you have were gift from the military.
Yeah.
Our power sector were sold at a giveaway price to people who cannot manage, operate in the name of privatization that qualified more as personalization. And yet a clause that could not make the government to retrieve it were put in place. And nothing is being done to retrieve it. Ajaokuta remained moribund. Started by the military. Civilians have been in power for going to 23 years. We cannot get it to work. Then we are now asking, are we continue to be blaming the military or the political class who have refused to do things the way it's supposed to do it? Now, the National Assembly, the Legislative House, is the bedrock of contemporary democracy. Are they playing their role decisively as to engender the national developmental necessity of the nation as regard to
You see, all those things you mentioned came with a price. They came with a price because they were command and control. And they didn't consider so many factors. And like what he was saying about the secretary to the federation, because it's the fundamental error which we have continued. Even the unitary system, we didn't even mention the unitary system we have inherited, where the president make everything and decide everything like barracks, and Nigeria is being run like a military. See, it's run like a military government. Let me tell you something. See, in infrastructural development, there are some considerations that impute from the local, the so-called democratization of technology, and this is one of the reasons why the refineries are moribund today. They didn't consider a lot of factors before citing those refineries. For example, why citing a refinery in a place where there is no nearness of the raw material? Why start pulling pipe from one place to another to refine?
But those ones
I'm coming.
In the place of refine, they are not.
I'm coming. Let me say. Now, the technology of choice. Why some of these refineries not working? Is the people they brought in, the technology they brought that has gone obsolete. Do you know now that if you want to, some of these refineries have to be teared down and built afresh? Because the technology, people who built that refinery, the technology used in building are out of business. They're not into business anymore. That if you put any crude oil, there's some particular part of the fractional distillation that you will not get. You might not get diesel.
Having visited Cuba and the refineries in Cuba, I knew that they were senior to Nigerians own and they are still running.
Because it was indigenously done. The technology is indigenous. Because you can't just bring technology, a foreign technology, and put it, and you don't have spare parts, you don't have continuity, it will go down and we don't maintain it.
We are going to be rounding up. Dr. Minasara.
Yes.
Yes. Are we still to continue to be blaming the military and blaming everybody instead of blaming ourselves?
No, the inability of the politicians to understand definition of leadership. That is the bane of the whole of it. The military have done their best. All the infrastructural developmental things you will see in the country, over 80% the credit should go to the military.
The cost.
And even the current democratic experiment we are enjoying, the credit should go to the military. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was not prepared by the military. Ethnic nationalities, professional bodies, competent technocrats were assembled into what was called Constituent Assembly. constitutional conference.
Because there is no way we can all
exactly,
sit down in a
exactly.
house
So these people,
to be
I'm
part of
coming.
the people.
So these people assembled and prepared the constitution, and this constitution, if you remember very well, was taken to all the nooks and corners of Nigeria for robust debate. And at the end of it, when it came, the first election we conducted, we elected representatives of the people, the National Assembly. The National Assembly deliberated and finally filtered it out and come out with acceptable document as the representatives of the people. You cannot have any representative of the people higher than the qualified members of the elected by the people. So it is a product of the people. That is one. Secondly, if you look at what is going on now, the totality of these years, over 23 years ago now that we have gotten democratic experiment, the fact that the military have permanently retired from intervention is another credit to the military. They have professionalized themselves in their the constitutional responsibility given to them, protecting our territorial integrity. So I want them to remain like that, and they want them to continue supporting democratic structures. But the politicians need to really build up and redefine what is development, what is democracy. Democracy is a game of being the vicegerent of God in service to the people on behalf of the supreme deity, rather than self-enrichment.
Dr. Minasara, your last word to the nation.
I think that the country needs to also allow every part of the country participate in any evolution. And whenever any part or any sections are not part of it, we will continue to have this quagmire.
Let us be sensitive of our national unity, yes, because national unity, our collectivity, we crystallize what we call unity of purpose that is also necessary for purposeful leadership. Yeah. This is where we draw up down on nationalism and you this morning. Until the next Thursday when we come to you on the platform of Nationalism and You, we say keep faith with independent television as we strive to help to unite the nation and pointing out things that can lead to we fulfilling our place, realizing our manifest destiny as a nation. I remain your host, Ebenezer Oyetakin, but don't change the channel, for more are coming to you on independent television as we continue to educate, inform, and entertain you.